Welcome back to Story Highway, where every story reminds you that even the quietest hearts carry storms no one else can see. Today's journey is about a boy who grew up believing he was invisible until life taught him that silence, too, has a voice. Sit back, relax, and let the story guide your English and your soul. In a small desert town in Arizona, where nights were colder than secrets and days burned with the weight of unspoken truths, lived Caleb Rivers, a 12-year-old boy who rarely spoke because life had taught him early that words could be dangerous. His father, a once loving man, turned angry and unpredictable, shattered the peace of their home night after night, until Caleb learned that silence was safer than hope. And after his mother finally fled, in the middle of one moonless night, leaving him behind with a whisper of apology and a suitcase of clothes she couldn't carry, Caleb's world shrank to shadows. The shadowed corners of classrooms where teachers forgot his name, the shadowed hallways where kids walked past him like he didn't exist, and the shadowed quiet of his bedroom, where he drew pictures of the family he wished he still had. But everything changed. The afternoon he wandered behind the school and found an old maintenance shed where a retired janitor named Mr. Hayes spent his days carving wooden figures. And instead of asking questions Caleb couldn't answer, Mr. Hayes simply handed him a block of wood and said, "Sometimes the things we can't say find their way out through our hands." Slowly, painfully, beautiful shapes began emerging from Caleb's silence. Birds, trees, people holding hands, until one day he carved a small boy reaching for a door of light. And Mr. Hayes realized this wasn't just art. It was a map of Caleb's heart. He spoke gently. Shadows aren't always bad. They mean there's light somewhere behind you." And for the first time in years, Caleb's eyes filled with tears, not fear. Over months, the carving shed became his refuge, a place where silence wasn't emptiness, but creation. And when his father was finally arrested, after a neighbor reported the constant shouting from their home, Caleb was placed with a foster family, a warm couple named the Marshalls, who welcomed him not with overwhelming questions, but with a quiet seat at the dinner table and a simple, "Take your time, we're not going anywhere." Slowly, Caleb learned to speak again, first in single words, then in careful sentences, then in stories told through the wooden figures he gifted to his new classmates, tiny carvings that said everything he still couldn't. Years later, when Caleb, now a young man with strong hands and a steady voice, opened an art center for children from troubled homes, he hung his very first carving on the wall, the boy reaching for the door of light. And beneath it, he placed a small plaque that read, "For every child who learned to survive in shadows, the sun still rises for you." And on the day he opened the center, Mr. Hayes, now older and slower but smiling wider than ever, whispered to him, "You didn't just find your voice, son. You built it." And as Caleb looked around at the children laughing, creating, healing, he felt something he once believed was impossible, a light inside him that no shadow could ever silence again. Thank you for traveling with us on Story Highway. If this story touched your heart, remember, even the deepest shadows exist because light is trying to reach you. Come back tomorrow for another journey worth taking.